Guilty. The word echoed through the chamber as the crystalline beings of Vega cast their votes, their bodies glowing blood red. Guilty. The insect-like taparans continued to move their 6 tentacles in unison. Guilty. The aquatic Mersonians spoke, the words carried through their translators. Commander Susan Brooks's fists turned white as she gripped the metal railing. 212 alien species, 212 votes against humanity. Not a single ally sided with Earth. They're condemning 3 billion people to death, Lieutenant Harrison whispered next to her, his voice shaking with rage. Susan's face was expressionless. Her mind was already busy calculating, planning. They believed this was the end of humanity. She knew it was only the beginning. The council representative, a glowing, octopus-like creature, rose in the center of the chamber, its glowing tentacles pulsing ominously. Earth stood accused of aggressive expansion, reckless technological development, and the violation of cosmic peace. The verdict was unanimous. Susan heard a collective sigh of relief among the aliens. They had feared humanity. Well, they need not have been. The verdict is expulsion, the representative announced. Earth and all human colonies must leave galactic space within 1 standard cycle. 6 Earth months to evacuate 3 billion people from 43 worlds, 200 space stations, and thousands of outposts. An impossible task. As planned, Lieutenant Paul Harrison couldn't contain himself. You are condemning us to death. Earth cannot support our entire population. Susan gripped his hand tightly. His voice cut through the eerily calm chamber. Thank you for clarifying the terms. The people of Earth accept the Council's decision. The silence that followed was deafening. The aliens hadn't expected this. Acceptance. From humans. Impossible. The Alterian ambassador, an imposing pillar of blue crystal, leaned forward. They accept. Without protest, Susan turned to face the gallery. 3 billion people watched her through quantum communicators. Colonies, ships, stations. Everyone waited for her answer. Of course we accept, Susan said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Your position is clear. Humanity has no place here. She turned to the representative. We will need evacuation orders for all human settlements. The representative's tentacles twitched with boredom. Yes, but Commander Brooks, then we have work to do, Susan interrupted. 6 months isn't that long. She turned and headed for the exit, and Paul followed silently. As the doors closed behind them, the aliens began to whisper among themselves. They're worried. Well, they should be worried in the hallway by now, Paul exploded. Commander, how could you put up with this? They're destroying us. Susan continued walking, her smile becoming predatory. Paul. Remember the old saying about not throwing stones when you live in a glass house. And what does that have to do with every station, every colony, every jump portal, who maintains it all? Paul stopped, understanding dawning on his face. We do. Every trade route uses our portals. Every medical center runs on our technology. Half their food comes from human farms. Susan's voice dropped to a whisper. You want us to leave? Fine. But you didn't say we were to leave you our toys. Paul's anger turned into something more dangerous, something akin to hope. We took everything, every last screw. You want a galaxy without humans. Susan confirmed. You'll find out exactly what that means. As they walked to their ship, Susan activated the communicator. The Galactic Council thought they were exiling a troublesome race. They had no idea what they had just voted for. Earth had 6 months to leave space. Susan was determined to ensure that when humanity left, the galaxy would never forget them. The exile had begun, but it would not end as the aliens hoped. President Lisa Garcia looked out over the crowd filling the United Earth Assembly Hall. Every seat was occupied. People crowded the aisles and doorways. Drones with cameras hovered overhead, broadcasting their images to human colonies across the galaxy. Behind her, huge screens displayed maps of human space. Red dots represented Earth's 43 colonies, blue dots, 200 space stations, yellow dots, thousands of mining operations and research bases, so many dots, so many homes. Brothers and sisters, humans, she began. Her voice was calm but firm. 3 days ago, the Galactic Council voted to banish us from your space. You gave us 6 months to leave. The crowd stirred, but remained silent. They all watched as Commander Brooks accepted the verdict. They knew this moment would come. They think they're punishing us, Lisa continued. They think we'll crawl back to Earth with our heads down. They think we'll abandon everything we've built and quietly disappear. She paused and smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. They're wrong. The screens behind her changed. New images appeared. Enormous transport ships, larger than any ever built. Construction robots, working tirelessly. Entire cities being carefully dismantled and packed into containers. I declare Operation Exodus, Lisa said. We are leaving nothing behind. We are taking everything with us. Every building, every machine, every grain of sand from our terraformed worlds. If they want us gone, we will go, but we will not leave them a single atom of what we have achieved. The crowd erupted in applause. Screams, shouts, hugs. The sound was deafening. Captain Kevin Martinez watched the president's speech from the bridge of his ship, the Polaris. Out the windows, he could see New Phoenix below, humanity's first colony outside the solar system. The city sprawled across the continent. It was home to 50 million people. Captain, we're receiving evacuation orders, his communications officer reported. Kevin nodded. Bring them to the main screen. The orders were simple, yet shocking. Not just evacuate people, but take everything. Buildings, roads, power plants, even the fertile soil from the farms, leave nothing behind. Sir, that's impossible, said his first officer, Janet Williams. How do you move an entire city? Kevin studied the blueprints that accompanied the orders. We're not moving it, we're dismantling it. Look, they're sending us construction drones, matter converters, molecular storage units. All of this will be on the new transport ships they're building. Janet whistled softly. They're actually doing that. We're taking our colonies. We're not taking them, Kevin corrected. They've always been ours. We built them. We maintain them. Now we're taking them home. In the engineering department of Space Station Alpha, Chief Engineer Ryan Cooper worked with his crew, trying to understand the new orders. The station orbited a massive trading hub where dozens of alien species congregated to exchange goods. Okay, everyone listen up, Ryan told his mixed crew of humans and aliens. Earth wants us to begin disconnecting our systems from the alien sections of the station. But an insect like Saffron raised one of its 4 arms. The human systems run everything. Life support, gravity, power generation. Without them, the alien sections won't function. Ryan shrugged. That's not our problem anymore. They wanted us gone. Remember, we're just following orders. The human crew members exchanged meaningful glances. The aliens looked worried. Over the next few weeks, the galaxy watched with growing alarm as humanity began the largest migration in history. The new transport ships were marvels of engineering. Each could hold an entire city, disassembled and stacked in fields of compressed matter. On Harvest, the largest agricultural world in the galaxy, enormous machines worked day and night. They harvested the fertile lands that humans had cultivated for decades. They meticulously dug up every fruit tree, every vegetable plant. They drained lakes and removed water purification systems. An alien observer sent to monitor the evacuation hovered next to Director of Agriculture Sarah Kim. His ghostly figure shimmered with pain. They're taking the land, he asked incredulously. But this is a living world. They can't just do that. Watch us, Sarah replied cheerfully. This soil contains bacteria from Earth, nutrients from Earth. It's ours. Her advice was very clear. They want everything human-owned to disappear. We're just doing everything carefully. She gestured to the massive bulldozers. Don't worry. I'm sure the rock underground will bear fruit. Maybe in a few thousand years. The same scene repeated itself throughout human space. Factories were dismantled bolt by bolt. Hospitals were packed away, including all medical equipment and research data. Schools disappeared overnight, taking with them libraries and databases. But the real shock came when humans began dismantling the Jumpgate network. Admiral Julia Chun oversaw the operation from the command center. Jumpgates are enormous structures that create artificial wormholes between star systems. Humanity has built most of them. Gate 7 is ready for dismantling, her engineer reported. Begin the process, Julia ordered. On the screen, a massive ring-shaped portal began to fold in on itself. Specialized ships moved in to collect the fragments. Within minutes, the shortcut between two key trade systems disappeared. Julia's comm system lit up with incoming messages. Dozens of alien species were calling in a panic, reporting their trade routes. She didn't answer any of them. Her Alterian aide approached cautiously. Admiral, the Council demands an explanation. Without the portals, travel between systems will take months instead of hours. Julia looked away from the screen. Tell them they wanted us gone. The jump portals use human technology. We can't leave such dangerous equipment behind. I'm sure they understand. The aide's crystalline figure flared with concern. But the entire galactic economy depends on these portals. So they should have thought it through before voting. By the end of the first month, the scale of the human exodus became clear. They weren't just leaving, they were erasing all traces of their presence, and the galaxy was beginning to realize what they had done. Ambassador Kyle Thompson entered the Galactic Council chamber with a smile on his face. The alien delegates had called this emergency meeting after 2 months of human evacuation. They looked worried. Kyle liked it. The council representatives' tentacles twitched nervously as Kyle sat down. Around the table, representatives of dozens of species watched him closely. Ambassador Thompson, the representative began. We have called this meeting to discuss certain matters concerning your evacuation procedures. Kyle leaned back in his chair. Oh, yes, there is a problem. We are leaving as requested. In fact, we are ahead of schedule. The vegan representative's crystalline body glowed red. You are dismantling the jump portals. Correct, Kyle agreed. Very dangerous human technology in the wrong hands. You said so yourself during the trial, but the trade routes, the hairy Centurion began. They will continue to exist, KMA interrupted. Ships can travel between stars the old way. It takes months instead of hours, but I'm sure they'll adapt. The room erupted with angry voices, tentacles twitching, scales rattling, and the energy beings blinking nervously. Kyle remained calm, the same polite smile never leaving his face. Besides, the delegate from Regalia screeched, your people are dismantling infrastructure in mixed colonies, medical equipment, generators, water systems, all designed and built by humans. We have bills, if you want, Kyle replied. The Alterian ambassador floated to the front of the room. What about medical facilities? Half the galaxy depends on human doctors and their medical technology. Kyle's smile widened. We are touched by your concern. Don't worry. We will leave you with detailed instructions on which local plants you can use for basic healing procedures. Very traditional, very safe. This is outrageous. The Sapphira representative's 4 arms waved frantically. They are destroying galactic civilization. Kyle didn't correct him. Suddenly, in a firm voice, we are eliminating human civilization. You voted for it. We are simply being meticulous. On the mining planet RA-7, Chief of Operations Carol Foster oversaw the final shutdown. The planet was ugly, consisting only of rock and mining tunnels, but within these tunnels lay the galaxy's largest deposits of trilithium crystals, the power source for the most advanced technologies. Carol watched as her teams carefully packed all the mining equipment. Enormous excavators, thanks to human compression technology, were folded into small storage spaces. Transport systems several kilometers long disappeared into the containers. The Alterian leader approached her, his blue crystalline body pulsing with anxiety. "Miss Foster, you will surely abandon the mining systems. The galaxy needs these crystals." Carol checked her datapad. "Sorry, but all these systems are human. The drills, the processors, the security systems, all ours. But without them, how are we supposed to mine trilithium the old-fashioned way, with a pick and shovel, I suppose? Although I wouldn't recommend it. Trilithium is quite toxic if handled without the proper equipment." He pointed to the nearest tunnel. "Besides, we are going to collapse most of the tunnels. For safety reasons, we cannot leave dangerous pits." The Alterians' glow dimmed. "They are sealing the crystal deposits." "That's not our problem," Carol shrugged. "They have 4 months to find a solution." Meanwhile, at the Gamma Research Station in the Horsehead Nebula, Amy Chen was having a similar conversation with her alien colleagues. The station was a joint operation, where scientists from many species worked side by side. "Amy, please," pleaded Dr. Rick, a plant-like creature from the forest world of Verdania, "share the results of your research into finding a cure for the plague." "Of course you will share the data. My people are still suffering." Amy pitted Rick. They had worked together for years, but the orders were clear. "Sorry, Rick. All research developed by humans must be handed over to us. Intellectual property laws, but we did it all together." Rick's leaves darkened with pain. "You're right," Amy admitted. She handed Rick a small data pad. "Here's all the research you personally contributed, your observations, your theoretical notes. Everything else was processed by human computers using human methods. That makes it ours." She began packing up the lab equipment. The quantum microscopes were boxed up. The biosensors disappeared into storage. Even the coffee maker was gone. "Navigational enhancements for nebula travel," asked Teach, a gaseous being from the moons of Jupiter. "Human algorithms," Amy replied. "A gravity wave detection system, human sensors, cafeteria recipes." Amy barely suppressed a laugh. "Definitely human. While you can try to recreate Thursday's meat surprise, no one ever knew what was in it." As the weeks passed, alien ships gathered near human installations, observing the massive dismantling. They sent message after message, each more desperate than the last. Trade routes collapsed. Medical personnel went without treatment. Food supplies dwindled as human farming worlds shuttered their farms. The complex web of galactic civilization, built over centuries of cooperation, began to unravel. In the council chambers, emergency meetings became a daily occurrence. The aliens argued among themselves, blaming each other and demanding solutions that didn't exist. "Perhaps we could come to an agreement," the vegan representative suggested, "offer them something to get them to leave the infrastructure." "With what?" the Assyrian ambassador asked sharply. "They're taking your entire economy. What can we offer them?" The council representative's tentacles lowered. "Perhaps we could apologize and ask them to stay." Silence fell over the room. No one wanted to admit the truth. They had made a terrible mistake. The humans weren't just leaving, they were taking the heart of galactic civilization with them. And there were still 4 months left before the evacuation. Barking. Rachel Green stood in the empty hall of the Nebula Research Station. Crimson. The research center was bustling with life. Scientists from 20 different species worked there side by side. Now only the humans remained, and they, too, were about to leave. Final data transfer complete, announced her colleague, Dr. Stephen W. All human research has been secured and removed from the shared servers. Rachel stared at the bare walls where awards and discoveries had once hung. This station had cured diseases, unraveled the mysteries of dark matter, and mapped distant galaxies. None of that knowledge would survive. Gleck, her Alterian research partner, hovered nearby, his blue crystalline form pulsing with pain. Rachel, please reconsider. Our work on a cure for the stellar plague. My world needs it. Thousands are dying. Rachel replied with genuine pain. The cure used human DNA sequencing technology. I can only give you records of your own contributions. She handed him a small data crystal. This is all you discovered. We take the rest with us. But we did this together. Our discoveries built on each other. I know. I'm sorry. Rachel closed another equipment crate. But the council's decision was clear. Complete separation. No human technology or knowledge could remain in council space. Similar conversations echoed throughout the station. Biochemist Sephrin begged for enzyme synthesis data. A vegan physicist asked for wormhole stability equations. People just shook their heads and continued packing. In the economic hub of the Galactic Trade Hub, Director Gregory Adams oversaw the shutdown of human financial systems. For over a century, Earth's banking networks had helped manage interstellar trade. Now those systems were being shut down. Sir, we've received urgent calls from 17 planetary governments, his assistant, Lisa Park, reported. The Centurion Commonwealth states that its entire pension system will collapse without our investment algorithms. Gregory didn't look up from his work. That's not our problem. Transfer all human assets to Exodus accounts. Cancel all loan guarantees. Cancel all insurance policies. But, sir, this will collapse your economy. You should have thought of that before expelling your economic partners. He typed another command. Ensure that every human loan, every investment, every piece of our financial infrastructure goes with us. At the Agricultural Research Station above Harvest Prime, DRA, Patricia Wilson oversaw the extraction of humanity's greatest agricultural achievements. The station had developed crops capable of growing in alien soils, guaranteeing food for dozens of worlds. Her colleague, Draxie Borton, watched in horror as robots packed seed banks. Dr. Wilson, without these hybrid grains, my planet will starve. Our entire agricultural system depends on human-developed crops. Patricia paused in her work. She liked Borton, they had worked together for years. I will leave you with the native plant samples you provided. But hybrids, genetic modifications, growth enhancers, these are all human innovations. Billions will starve. Then your government should have voted differently. Patricia sealed another container. I'm sure the powerful Draxies can solve the agricultural problem. They did it before we arrived. That was 1,000 years ago. We've forgotten the old ways. Patricia's expression hardened. Then I suggest you quickly recall them. The Alterian High Council gathered in its crystal chamber 3 days after the expulsion vote. Ambassador Lyrax's blue figure pulsed with excitement as he addressed his fellow crystal beings. We've made a catastrophic mistake, he declared, projecting data streams onto the chamber's walls. The loss of humans is already affecting 17 critical systems. Meridian Medical Center lost 30% of its staff yesterday. Trade route Cygnus reports 6 jump gates down. Prime Minister Azura beamed with skepticism. They must be faking it. They can't take everything. They're not pretending, Lyrax said. They replied. Their molecular compression technology allows them to pack entire objects into storage units. We have no recourse against illegal means. Every piece of equipment, every design, they have patents, intellectual property rights. We wrote the galactic property laws ourselves. Then we need to negotiate, another advisor suggested. Offer incentives. Lyrax's crystalline body darkened. I've already tried. Their ambassador, Thompson, refuses all meetings. His only official response, the council has spoken. We respect their decision. His voice grew sharper. They throw our own words back at us, and with each passing day, our position weakens and theirs strengthens. On Harvest Prime, Director of Agriculture Sarah Kim was overseeing a massive soil extraction when her security team reported unusual activity. Director, we've detected unregistered drones in Sector 7, the security chief informed her. Cephron technology, but using stealth protocols. Sarah smiled coldly. They're scanning our mining process. They want to know how we do it. Are we going to shoot? No, let them watch, she tapped her communicator. Engineering, activate molecular destabilizers in Sector 7. Let's give our observers a good show. In Sector 7, massive machines began to pulse with blue energy. The fertile soil beneath them seemed to glow. Then it dissolved into a shimmer, absorbed by the combines. Zephyrin drones approached, recording everything. What they couldn't see were the actual tillage facilities, hidden underground. What they saw from above was pure, impressive theater, but scientifically useless. True technology would remain just human knowledge. Sarah's communicator crackled. Director, the Zephyrian diplomatic shuttle is requesting an emergency landing. Ambassador Crick Steele is on board. How convenient. Sarah muttered. Permission granted. I will meet him on Platform 3. The insectoid ambassador descended the ship's ramp, waving 4 arms, while the other 2 approached their hidden weapons with suspicion. Sarah kept an eye on her security team. Director Kim, Crickstall's jaw clenched. There has been a misunderstanding. Our government wishes to discuss special dispensation for Harvest Prime. There is no misunderstanding, Ambassador. The Council's verdict was clear. Perhaps, but Harvest Prime feeds 27 worlds. Surely something can be worked out. You should have considered that before voting, Sarah replied calmly. But I am authorized to make a concession. She handed him a small data crystal. These are ancient seed varieties from Earth. They will grow in their native soil, albeit with a reduced yield, at least that's something. At least a mixture of relief and suspicion flickered in Crick Steele's complex eyes. And what do you want in return? Nothing. Consider it a parting gift. Sarah turned to leave, but paused. Although you might want to warn your spy drones that we will be activating full-spectrum molecular destabilizers in Sector 12 in approximately 20 minutes. The radiation doesn't affect humans, but Sphyron optics tend to melt. The ambassador's antennae tilted. Director, please, might we offer technology exchanges, resource rights? They already had all that. The ambassador was titled, Good Relations with Humanity. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to oversee the evacuation. In a secure lab near Geneva, Ladra Elena Vasquez monitored the quantum encryption protocols protecting the human exodus plans. Her systems had detected a sophisticated, nearly undetectable intrusion. We have visitors, she announced to her team. Shapeshifters transforming into Cytherans were attempting to access the compression schematics. Her assistant looked up in alarm. We've locked down the servers. Elena shook her head, smiling. No, we'll give them something to find. Her fingers quickly ran across the interface. I'm creating a phantom network. Specifications that appear authentic, but with fatal flaws built into the molecular phase calculations. And if they discover the trap, the errors will only become apparent when they attempt to implement it. Any attempt to replicate our compression technology using this data will result in catastrophic molecular destabilization. She finished her work and leaned back in her chair. It appears they've outsmarted us. Hours later, on the Athran homeworld, Chief Scientist Merrill's gaseous form condensed with excitement as he presented his findings to the Etheric Council. We've successfully extracted human data compression algorithms, he announced proudly. Their security was formidable, but ultimately surmountable. With these specifications, we'll be able to maintain our own versions of their technology long after they're gone.